Okay, so here we go. Crap bag time. We went digging thanks to a chatter yesterday. Somebody jumped in the chat and said, Nick Saban's never lost a night game in Tuscaloosa. And I thought, really? Ever? So I looked it up. The numbers are silly. They're not quite that silly, but here we go. Because it's Nick Saban at Alabama, I can give you the list pretty quickly. Nick Saban, pay attention. Nick Saban has lost 8 times at home since he took the job at Alabama. 8.
Oh, there you go.
8 times. He took over in 07. All right. Remember that 07 year, weird, clunky year, Independence Bowl in?
The major Applewhite offensive coordinator year.
Okay, Catch. They lost 3 times that year at home. Happened 3 times. Georgia got them. LSU got them. And UL Monroe. Remember that famous game where UL Monroe beat them? Yep.
Again,
all 3 of those.
That was the major Applewhite offensive coordinator year. Saban threw Major under the bus after that game.
First year, right? First year. That's 07. Then in 2010 comes the anomaly of everything I'm about to talk about. Because based on everything I'm about to say, you don't want to do a whole lot of things in Tuscaloosa unless you have Cam Newton as your quarterback, because then you can come back and win the game. In 2010, Auburn got them. 2011, LSU, the ugly 9-6 game, a lot of people remember. The Aggies in 12, Ole Miss in 15, LSU in 19. That's it. That's the 8 home losses for Nick. Now, if you want to know which ones were at night, here we go. The very first one, Georgia in 07, that was a night game. Georgia wins it in overtime. 26-23, by the way. The night game in LSU was 11. The 9-6 game was a night game.
I thought that game was in Baton Rouge.
No, that was Tuscaloosa in 11. Okay. And then LSU Ole Miss in 15 was also a night game. So of the 3 night teams, this is a bit interesting to me, Catch. 2 of them never trailed in regulation, and all 3 of them never trailed by 4 or more.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
All right. So there's a lot of basics here that you want to have in a football game, but you need extra basics when you're dealing with Nick Saban. And by the way, for all you that are saying Texas by double digits, Texas by 2 touchdowns, here are the margins of victory in these 8 games. 3 points in overtime, 7, 1, 3 in overtime, 5, 6, and 5.
Nobody's ever just gone in there and kicked their ass.
No one has, forget about 10. No one's ever beaten Nick Saban at home by 8 or more. You hear what I'm saying? 8 or more. No one's ever beaten him by 2 scores, period, at home. It has not happened. At night, in the day, it doesn't matter. All right? So when you look at the trends of these teams, here's some things to think about. Of the 8 teams that have done it, 4 of them scored first. And all those teams never trailed in regulation play. The other 4 teams, they stayed within 1 score. I also Catch at the score at the end of the first, second, and third quarters. 10 of those 12 teams at the finish of quarters were within 1 score. Those other teams, you cannot get down to them. It can't happen. You're done if you get down. 5 of the 8 teams that beat them won the running battle. Is it critical? No, but it can be important. LSU, by the way, 41 carries in 2011. For the people that talk about A&M beating them, about being about Johnny Manziel, it certainly was, but A&M had 46 rushes that day, Catch.
That's wild.
46. Just something to keep in mind.
So how many rushes? Let me ask you this then. I don't mean to interrupt the crap bag. Matter of fact, I'll shut up. I'll ask my question when you're done.
Okay. In terms of turnovers, this one's interesting to me. 5 of the 8 won the turnover battle. 2 of them were even in turnovers. Only 1 team has gone to Tuscaloosa and won while losing the turnover battle, and it was Georgia all the way back in 07. That was -1. But get this, Catch. Combine all 8 teams that have beaten them in Tuscaloosa under Nick. The combined turnover margin is +13. Think
you
about
gotta
that.
win turnovers.
Plus 13. Ole Miss was plus 5. Aggies plus 3. ULM was plus 4. And again, everybody else keeps it at least close. That's a key.
What was A&M in the turnover battle?
Plus 3.
Everybody thinks it was Johnny that day.
I know.
And it was.
And it was. But there was also, remember Aggies had a 20-point lead in the first quarter.
Yep.
They jumped out in that game. So final one, and then we'll get into the discussion period. 15, as far as the quarter endings, we're talking 8 games. So 3 different quarter endings that aren't the final score. 15 of the 24, the team either held a lead. There were 2 times where the score was even, and there were 7 times where the team was down. But there were only 3 times where they were down 7 or more, and that brings the Cam Newton thing back into play. That's the ultimate anomaly. They were down 21 in the first quarter, 17 at the end of the half, but they got it to 6 by the end of the third quarter. So that one you almost have to take out separate because, Catch, I'm not going to advise anybody go in there and go down 24-0. No, we can all agree that if Bama leads 24-0 on Saturday night, they beat Texas, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that.
We're not so far out on the limb on that one that it's going to break.
Yeah, but let me put it this way to make it nice and easy for everybody, Catch, since we are house divided and everyone can remember the time frame. Since the moment A&M entered the SEC, if you go to Tuscaloosa and you trail by any amount at all, you lose. Wow. I'm going to say that again. The three teams that have gone to Tuscaloosa and beaten Alabama since A&M joined the conference led every second of the game.
That's a stat.
Aggies led by 20, then 6, then 3, and then finished and beat them by 5. Ole Miss led by 3, then 7, then 13, and finished it. LSU went 3, 20, 13, then finished it. If you trail Alabama by any amount since 2012,
if they go up 2-0.
That's correct. Early safety, you're done, apparently, according to these numbers. Half the teams that have done it never trailed, but since 2012, that's the kind of number you're talking about. That's what you have to do. So Longhorn fans, put it in your mind now. Not only do you need to score first, you cannot let them have a lead. Because if you do, the last, 12 years of football.
It's not a small number.
Says they're finishing you off. So those are the key elements to remember about those games. Whether you're talking about, again, that's Johnny. That's a pretty damn good Ole Miss team. I think that might be a Te'amu team, or maybe it was Corral. I can't remember the quarterback that day. And it's obviously Joe Burrow. That was a national championship team, Catch. And the final was 46-41. Like, it takes, and again, how about the scores? The Aggies got up to like 29. Ole Miss had 43. LSU had 46. LSU back in the day, 41. Nobody scored more than 46 in the game. But we know Alabama, lately has been able to score some points if they need to. So those are the numbers about Nick in Tuscaloosa. It's scary. It's crazy, but it can be done. But you have to punch them in the mouth with physicality, with points, early. Make that crowd nervous. Get the houndstooth pissed off. Get those entitled. You think you're entitled, Texas fans? There's no entitlement right now like these people. None. You know what they do on their helmet every year? They upgrade this number right here. See, this number says 17. They got a new one now that says 18. I'm too cheap to buy it, but that's what they do. They are probably the most entitled group. You gotta get them nervous quick.
And Rodolfo is just letting you know, damn you.
I'm just saying, Rodolfo, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, but it can be done. I've watched it being done, but you really have to have a lot of things come together. Like, y'all remember that day. Again, it was Johnny. Johnny wouldn't beat Bama. Y'all remember that DeShazer Everett had to pull off an interception at the goal line to win that game. Everybody remember that sequence? It was 29-24. Bama was going right back down the field. My blood pressure was up, down. I was about to flip out. And DeShazer Everett stepped in front of a pass and picked it off. That's what closed the door.
By the way, I doubt your blood pressure ever went down.
No, it didn't go down.
I don't think that's how that worked Saturday.
It never went down. It just kept going up. You're absolutely right. But those are the numbers. That's the respect. The reason I love crunching the numbers, Catch, and looking up all this data is when you're as great as Sabin is, to me, you got to go in with that respect level and figure out what is it, what's it going to be? How do you try to take it apart? It's just so difficult to go there and pull this thing off. So what Texas is trying to do, it's damn hard. And of course, you know, as Tom Hanks would tell us in a league of their own, of course it's hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody could do it. It's the hard that makes it great. And it'll be great if Texas can do this. We'll see. Saturday night, 6:00.
So we're waiting on Quandre Diggs.
Yes, sir.
Hoping he's going to join us in like the next 4 or 5 minutes. He has the link. Hopefully he won't forget what time zone we're in. Because he isn't 2 hours behind us. So hopefully we're good. Yeah. I had a question that I wanted to ask you that I still remember, but you completely turned me upside down with the Alabama hasn't lost a game in 12 years when they've taken a lead.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah,
at home, day or night. If they're at home and they lead the game, they win.
Because if we're doing the watch along on Saturday. Let me tell you what that would be like. It's like in the movies when somebody gets shot 15 times and you know they're gonna die, but they live long enough to like give an inspirational speech. That it'll feel like that on Saturday in the watch along if Alabama gets the ball first and goes right down the field and kicks a field goal.
Yeah, right. No, and I understand that. But that's where, again, that's when you're really going to be fighting it, right? You're going to have to become the first team in a long, long time, to pull it off. Again, I'm trying to look back through these games. The LSU, that ugly LSU game, Bama scored first there, but LSU evened it by the end of the quarter. So that was just kind of a fight there. But the one thing, unless you're bringing Cam Newton with you, is no one has beaten them being down 8 or more at any point other than Cam. Like, again, just think about
like the John Jones of college football.
Who's that? Who, Bama?
Bama.
Yeah, right. No, it's oppressive and it sits on you. I mean, again, I'm a guy that watched my team. What was that score when I think they hung a 59-0 on the Aggies one year? Like, oh my God. You get there and you're starting to watch that game. I say get there. I'm watching it on TV. I haven't been to Tuscaloosa, but you just have this feeling of, okay, let's just see if we can, it's 14-0. Damn. And it's done. And then they start wearing on you. But again, if you think about those games, there you go, Chris, somebody's got to do it. But I think the early scores Catch has been blinking at me anyway. Let's go back for Texas and Texas A&M. Remember the year they both beat Nebraska? Remember 98?
Yes.
When they both got Nebraska, and then Texas got them at home the next year. Early scores to me were so critical. I can still see Chris Taylor for A&M going in the end zone, making it 7-0. It made me believe. I didn't believe it till that moment. I'm like, oh my God. And then that momentum can start. So that's what's critical. In 2012, I picked Bama to win that game. I didn't pick Johnny and those guys to beat Bama. I thought Bama was going to win. And then it was 20-0. And I thought, oh, well, maybe we got a shot here. And eventually they barely got it done. So, and I understand that text that chat just came in on the Specs chat line. I get it. Makes you a little more nervous. I'm not doing it to make you nervous. I'm doing it to make you understand what they're facing.
You made me a little nervous because I'm telling you, if we're watching the game on Saturday and A&M goes up by a point, I'm going to be like, oh, hell, here we go now.
Right. No,
that's stats in play.
I know that, but that's that extra key of don't miss the beginning of this game. Make sure you got your popcorn ready, and that's for Sark and everybody. You got to hit them. You have to hit them. You have to hit them quick. And Catch, the answer to that question earlier, hey, Truth Serum Sark, if you win the toss, you don't even think about it. You don't even start to think. You grab your captain and you say, if we win this toss, you say ball about as loud as you can say it. Otherwise, we'll do that into the field. Don't you dare think about deferring. We want the ball. I would take the ball. When the last time A&M beat Bama at Kyle Field, they started with the football, they ran right down Alabama's throat, and they scored, and it balanced everything out for the rest of the game. It established an attitude. That's what Texas has to do. I'd take the ball. I'd take my shot. I'd run a couple times, and then I probably would try that deep ball like Sark wants to, because ultimately, if they don't hit it, they lose anyway. I'd take my shots, be aggressive, come out early. Don't wait. Don't wait.